This Pax Dei video is 10 game-breaking tips and tricks. I'm going to teach you how to save tons of hours of grinding and a bunch of other neat things. Let's go. So tip number 1 is to do not grind for the steel anvil forge. Unless you live in the backwater, middle of nowhere, there is no reason to grind for this thing, and I'm going to explain and show you why. So for those that don't know, this is the forge. You need it to craft steel materials, and you may be thinking, why would I not want this? This is in-game materials. Of course I want it. And I'm not saying that you don't want it. I'm saying that you don't need to grind for it. So to make a forge, you're going to need to craft the ever-elusive, where's it at? The steel anvil, which is, we'll go to the regular forge here. And the steel anvil head requires 60 steel ingots and 120 charcoal. Now, if you don't have high enough blacksmithing, then this thing has a very low % chance to craft. And 60 ingots, if you don't go to PvP zones, will take you an average of 36 hours as a solo player. Now, in order to skip this, here's the tip, the very simplest of tips. Anyone can use anybody's forge. So while I have a forge, everyone in the neighborhood can come here and do their crafting, and it totally works. Now, let's say that you're a solo player, not as far ahead as me. All you have to do is use your F7 camera, which we're going to talk about later in the video, and fly around and look at people's bases until you find someone else with a forge. Well, the only other person in the whole neighborhood that has a forge is this person, and if I don't have a forge, I can just walk over with my supplies and use their forge to craft whatever I want, and I can skip the grind. I don't even need to build the forge. I only have this forge because I stole it from an enemy guild. Tip number 2 is a really basic one that a lot of people have figured out by now, but this one is the Handsfree Gathering, as in, instead of going up to a tree and holding down the left mouse button the whole time while you chop it or mine it, there's an easier way to do it. So what you do is, at first you walk up to the tree and you hold left click. While holding left click, you push the Elm button, that's your map button, and then you let go of left click. Then you close your map, and my hands are off the keyboard. You can hear me clapping, and I know the tree already stopped being chopped, but this works for mining nodes and chopping trees, and you just get into a habit. So you click, you hold, open the map, let go of left click, close the map, and then you watch anime or do something else with your hands until the tree is done being chopped or the ore node is done being mined. And then what you'll have to do is you'll have to left click once to reset it. And you'll know you reset it because if you left click, you'll swing. And then you just go to the next one, and you go to the next one. Now, some people report that this doesn't work, and this is why. When you open your map, your mouse cursor has to be inside the game's window. Sometimes, when I'm alt-tabbed and doing YouTube stuff, my mouse cursor will wander off the screen, but my keyboard's functions still work, and I can still left click, because I'm technically in the game left clicking, but when I open the map, my mouse is like off screen, as you can see, because I have multiple monitors. So you'll have to make sure that your mouse is within the game's window while you're holding left click, and then open your map that way. So that is how to do that. So tip number 3 is to see stuff easier. The game is very boggled down with like grass textures. I'm in a forest right now, and if you haven't changed your game files, the forest is going to look way more fuzzy and furry and brightly lit and shimmering and majestic. But here you can see that I can see strawberries on the ground. Strawberries are the hardest thing in the game that I think to see on the ground with all the grass covering it. But here I can see the strawberries clear as day. How do I do that? It's real simple. Now, I've made a separate video for this topic, but all you have to do is navigate to this video on my channel. It's called Pax Dei, How to See Items Easier, Better Settings, Remove Grass, Increase FPS Guide, Optimal Graphics. There is a hack file on hacker websites that has you run a .exe file to basically do this. You don't need to download a hack file. It's totally allowed to alter your game's file. If you go to your game user settings.ini, you can change a bunch of settings. This video has those settings, so please go check it out, and it will massively, massively increase your productivity when you're out in the forests looking for those really hard to spot mushrooms and strawberries. And if you want to level cooking, you're going to need a lot of strawberries, trust me on this one, man. It makes gathering so much easier. Just please go check out the video, and yeah. Tip number 4 is the free cam. Now, this does not render past a certain distance. I want to talk about what the free cam is. This is the free cam, where you can basically have a little out-of-body experience and go scout the area and fly around and take cool screenshots or just look at stuff. And I want to talk about all the uses of free cam. But first, I want to mention, again, on those hacker websites, there is a hack that lets you also free cam, but that will render things outside of your distance. So, player render distance. For those that don't know what that is, essentially here I am on the map, and my render distance to see other players is about like this wide. It's like a pretty big circle around me, right? Might be a little bit bigger than what I'm showing. But you can only see players up to a certain point. This is, you know, like to prevent too much scouting on PvP zones and whatnot. But let me talk about the free cam. To get it, you push F7. That's going to activate the free cam. And then you have to hold the Alt button and spin your mouse wheel up to increase your camera, like, zoom around speed. Otherwise, it's very slow. It's very hard to turn. It's just really, really slow. So with free cam, there's a few things you can do. The first one, which I've made a separate video about, I'm not going to show you the link, I'll just tell you again. Pull out your construction hammer and then go into free cam. And what this will do is you can scout for people that have refunded their plots, or people that are in clans or guilds and that have messed up their plots, which will allow you to steal from them. So for instance, like you can see here that this forge, or I'm sorry, this furnace is poking out a little bit from the circle, so you probably can't really steal that. But if it was poking out by a lot, you absolutely could. So a few examples are let me just show you a few examples of things I've been able to rob recently. So over here on this clan base, there was a corner here, like right here in this corner. You can see here that there's still an exposed, what is this, foundation and whatnot that is like within the circle, or outside of the circle. This guy had foundations all the way out to like down here. He had a bunch of chests and a bunch of furnaces and some more of these charcoal kilns kind of on the corner here. So what happened was, this guy had a clanmate who also claimed an area around here, and at some point they moved their plot, which shrunk his back to normal size, which he was bunked up with. So just go to your big, you know, sweaty clan, you know, areas every day. I do this 4 times a day, and just look. Look for vulnerabilities. Look for anything sticking out of circles like this. Like, oh, if that chest was right on the corner there, I could yoink the chest. If the chest is outside the circle by a good amount, it's free loot. It's public loot. You can take it. You can deconstruct it. You can do all sorts of things. And you can get so much loot by doing this. Just 4 times a day. That's how many times I do it. Fly around your area. Now, let me talk about flying around the area. So I'm in Nonis right now. If I scroll out, I'm in Nonis. But if I free cam over to Adrenis, nothing will be there. It'll be completely empty. You have to move your character into Adrenis to see all the housing plots. So what I'll do is I'll scout Nonis, because you can see all the plots in Nonis from, like, I'm on the very left side. But if I free cam, and let me get my bearings here. Let's see. Yes, it is this way. This is east. And if I free cam over on this way, past the forest, I can see all the other housing plots that are taking up all the areas. Now, a few things I look for. Besides buildings that don't have an orange circle, I also look for blue circles. This means that someone is sharing their plot publicly, which sometimes clans will do, because it makes it easier for their alts to, like, help build or move stuff around. And look right here, we have some exposed building, which I could totally deconstruct this and yoink some of it. So this guy, Slimy Chicken's sex plot. That's a very interesting name there. Maybe I'll leave it alone, because that sounds pretty degenerate, and I'm all for making this game as degen as hell. But yeah, that's free camming. And you can also scout dungeons. So when you go to a dungeon, you can use this as long as you're within render distance, which is... Oh, look at that. Oh, wait, never mind. It's inside the plot. I thought I found a gold mine. But no, you can scout dungeons for rare mob spawns. And later in the video, I'm going to teach you how to quickly cycle through mob spawns and force rare mobs to spawn. Stay tuned for that. So I want to talk about teleporting for a little bit here. Now, in the game, you see these little stones. I don't know what they're called if I get close. Ancient, whatever. I've been calling them like sigil stones, but essentially they are these small rectangle little image on your map. Now, there's a small rectangle, and then each zone is in, like, Nonis here, has a big one. This is the big fat one. To teleport to the big fat one, everyone knows you can hold T and click Home Shrine. That's how to do that. But to teleport to these little ones, here's how it works. Depending on where your character is standing, it will teleport you to the closest stone when you open your menu and click Unstuck. But if you're outside of the zone, as in if I cross this red line Even though I'm closer to this stone, when I cross it, it will teleport me to the next closest one within the zone. So, I will be able to walk down this road as soon as I cross that red line. I can then teleport over here, do my mob farming. This resets every 15 minutes currently, might be nerfed in the future. They've already nerfed it once. And then when I'm done farming, I run back, and when I pass this red line, I teleport here and then go across the street to my house. So that is an easy, super duper efficient way of moving around the map, as in just move close enough to a stone, and when you're within, when you know that you're closer to this stone than this one, if you want to teleport over here to do some mob farming, you just use Unstuck. It's going to save you so much time when you're doing your runs and your farming and you're traveling, that it's going to add up to hours and even days worth of playtime saved, not having to auto run everywhere. Tip number 6 is to keep 1 to 2 plots on standby. This allows you to control resources. You can fight mobs much easier. You can also box other players in Fortnite style so that they are forced to unstuck themselves. You can also climb, mountains and buildings. So, let me just give you an example, and there is a bear to my right, and it should be charging me at any second now. We're just going to grab our plot, place it down, there we go, here comes the bear. Then we're going to go to construction and foundation, and slap that bad boy down before we die, and then climb up top, and now the bear is completely defenseless, and we can just poke it from up top, and watch it slap me anyway. So yeah, this is how to easily defeat bears. You don't have to man fight them. There are so many different uses in the game where you can just slap a plot down, slap a foundation down, but yeah, let me also talk about controlling resources now. So here is how to technically control resources. So let's pretend that these stone-like deposits are actually iron ones. And of course, this only works inside zones you can build in. But once you've found the resources you want to control, you will then mine it out, and then set a timer. In this case, I just usually use my self buff here, my 1 hour buff, which let me cancel that. So Loyo's favor 1, this is a health buff. And it'll reset my timer. You can use any kind of timer you want, like a kitchen timer. And in 30 minutes, these resources will come back. But if instead you put a plot down, and man, this game lags. If you put a plot down, hello game. Why do I have the spear out? So after we've mined the resources, we put the plot down, and then you put any kind of little thing near the resources. So like just a pillar, all right? And then after 30 minutes, these resources won't come back. However, whenever you want them to come back and come back within 1 minute, what you do is you then unclaim your plot. So this is the one that I just did here. All right, there we go. And once I've unclaimed the plot, I delete the building that I put down. And then within 30 seconds to 2 minutes, the resources will immediately spring up out of the ground. And they won't slowly inflate as if they're respawning. They will just immediately appear. They will just render into the game. And then after you harvest them, of course, you would set the plot back down, put your pillar back up, and then go do other stuff. Now, if guilds, like I've seen big guilds coordinate and do this, they basically, all the iron in Nonus is basically under guild control at this point, the impure iron. But luckily there are a few nodes in the no build zones, so I can just go up there for impure iron, not that I really need it anymore. But yeah, so that's how guilds are controlling resources. So tip number 7 is for anyone that's pushing tailoring. You guys know that you need a lot of flax. You're going to be spending hours and hours and hours harvesting flax. Now, as long as you're harvesting flax in the buildable zones, here's a tip so you don't have to return to base as often. So go ahead and pretend that my inventory is just completely full of flax and I have no more room. Instead of having to go all the way back to base and deposit the flax or turn it into whatever, the more optimal way is to use your plot. Hello, game. Slap your plot down. You just wherever once your inventory's full. Man, this servers are lagging like crazy. Then slap down a spinning wheel. There we go. And then turn that flax into whatever it is you're grinding. In this case, I'm still grinding the linen string. So I would just mill my entire inventory of flax fiber into the linen string, which is going to massively reduce how much inventory space is being taken. And then afterwards, I would unclaim the plots, remove the spinning wheel, and continue farming more flax. That way, I don't have to return to base as often. This also works if you're farming lots of animal hides and you're getting lots of wool. You can turn your wool into, yarn and save a few spots of inventory space. And because the spinning wheel is made of literal junk wood, at the end of the day, you can just toss it on the ground for those 3 extra inventory slots. Tip number 8 is how to kill anything in the game easily. Now, this does require magic, which tip number 9, I'm going to help you get as a solo player very quickly and efficiently. But essentially, the combo is simple. It is Fireball and then Mesmerize. And what you do is you find your target, and man, it's lagging. So we're going to launch a Fireball, and then we're going to Mesmerize it as soon as the Fireball leaves the hand, which will then put the target to sleep. We'll wait on our cooldowns. And now when we launch another Fireball, this should catch the bear on fire, giving it a damage over time. There we go. It has the fire icon under its health bar. And now I've mesmerized it once again. Its health is consistently draining, but this is not enough to kill the bear, so I'm going to Fireball it again. And we can reapply the fire dot stack. Unfortunately, I can't double stack the dot because of the cooldowns, but when the second Fireball hits, it will then light him on fire once again. And then we just put him back to sleep, and then he's just going to burn to death while he dreams of eating honey and salmon and berries. And yes, I pronounce it salmon, because that's how it's freaking spelt. I'm going to say things how they're spelt. If they didn't want me to pronounce it that way, they should have spelt it different. And if anyone says it any differently, they are sheep and followers and refuse to forge their own path. Simple as end of. Anyway, let's go to tip number 9 now so you can learn how to farm better. Actually, no, I'm not done with tip number 8. So, one of the hardest mobs in the game to farm is the Zebian Trickster. And the reason why is it immediately casts a curse on you, which is a poison damage over time. So, what you have to do, and I'm not going to run to a camp to show you. I'm just going to paraphrase it here, if that's even the right word. So, what you do is you use your bow and you shoot into the group of Zebians. Those are the naked guys. Why are the naked guys harder to kill than the armored guys? I don't know. Game's stupid. Game devs, you suck. Anyway, the point is that use your bow and you shoot them from max distance. They will aggro you. You run the hell away, and then the one you shot should stick aggro longer or stay on you as a target longer than the other ones, who will then give up. You then kite them away from their friends for a few times. Then you can use the Fireball and Mesmerize combo to kill them off. This is the easiest way to farm mob bosses in mob camps. Now let's talk about tip number 9. So tip number 9, you can re-roll the mob spawns in a mob camp or respawn mobs after you've cleared them. And there's a few ways, well, there's one way to do it. So what I'm talking about are these mob camps. On the map, you're going to see little buildings that look like little tower caves. You're going to see these little weird candlewick things. I don't know what the hell these are. And you know, these are like little dungeons, little areas around the maps. Like there's some down here. And each one of these mob camps has a chance, not guaranteed, to have a named NPC boss enemy that drops the main items needed to craft magical gear. So, for instance, I have a helmet that gives me healing. Man, doesn't my character look stupid as hell? I love it. And then the Demon Hunter's tunic for Mesmerize, and these Hands of Lecter for buffing, and you get the idea, right? You get the point. And then these bracers for the Fireball. So what you want to do, especially if you're new, is get these spells ASAP, and it's going to require some crafting. You got to grind that shit out. It sucks, I know. But you can re-roll the mob camps infinitely until you get the named NPC that you need for the drop. And to do that, there's a lot of requirements. You need to be very, very far away from any players in the area. You have to be outside of another player's render distance, as in, you want to be playing at like 4 in the morning on a weekday, on a school night, you know, where all the wages have to go to work, and not a lot of people are online. And you want to be very far out in the middle of nowhere on the edges of the map, preferably. If anyone else is around, this trick doesn't work. So you go to the mob camp, you look around, if you don't see the named NPC, you log out, and you wait like 1 to 2 minutes, you just close the game. And then when you log back in, you will have a different roll of enemies. And the reason this works, and the reason why or how this works is simple. The game de-renders everything in the zone if there's no one there to show it to. So what you do is make sure you're by yourself, no one's around. You go to the mob camp. I've already explained how to do this. I don't know why I'm doing it twice. But if you kill the mob camp, instead of waiting 15 to 30 minutes for respawns, just log out and back in, and they'll all be back. And if you don't see the named NPC, log out, they'll despawn, log back in, it'll roll each mob, and sometimes the rare ones spawn, sometimes they don't. And sometimes different named NPCs spawn, and if it's something that you don't want, then you just log out and log back in over and over and over again. And for the really big mob camps, or even for the dungeons, this also works, assuming no one else is around or on the surface. You go to the really big mob camp where all the bosses are, you kill your way to the boss room, kill the boss, log out, log back in, in a safe spot where you're not going to aggro anything, kill the ads and the boss over and over and over and over again. You can, this is how you get basically infinite gear sets if you wanted to go do some roaming PvP and whatnot. But that's how you reset mobs, that's how you respawn mobs. Now, this also works for really big packs of wolves. Like, I see like Damone Kim and stuff farming bears for hides. It's like, bro, I know he can't exploit because he's like under a contract because he's getting like, paychecks from the devs or something, but you find like a spawn with like 6 to 10 wolves, you kill them all, you log out, you wait a minute, you log back in, you kill 10 wolves again. You're gonna get those boiled hides and those fine leather hides way faster than killing bears, okay? Like, the only reason to kill the bears is for charcuterie, for the buffs, and the buffs aren't even that great, so whatever. Tip number 10 is building tips. Oh boy. So, a lot of us have been fed the BS on Reddit about stability, and a lot of people used to, even one of my videos is guilty of this, teaching you to do this for stability. You have the ground floor, you have the bottom bar, and then you have the crossbar, and then you have the top bar, which this guy didn't make the top bars. Well, he did on some of them. Maybe it's still a work in progress. And he even made these little corner support beams too. And while this does work, I'm not saying it doesn't work. There's a better way. What the heck? No, I didn't want to report a bug. I'm not your wagey. Excuse me? If you want me to report bugs, pay me. All right? Or give me the game for free, which you failed to do. What the hell? Game? Stop lagging. Anyway, so for stability, man, this game sucks. It's like rubber banding like crazy. It's like launch day all over again. Hello, game? So you're going to use the pillars, and you would use them on the ground floor. Wow, I'm like really rubber banding. You use the pillars, and then when you use the pillars, you connect them with a stone wall foundation. You can only do this so high, but for whatever stupid idiot reason that the devs forgot to check, you can use the short walls, or the little half walls, and you can connect 3 half walls per pillar. Well, 3 half walls is 1 full wall. And you could do that all the way to the build sky ceiling, which allows you to build up as high as you want, as vertically as you want. Of course, after 7, 8 stories, it doesn't allow. But if you're on a cliff facing, you can go even higher, right? And so, as you can see, you can get really freaking high up. All right, like you can see here. Let me pull up the hammer so you can see it. So we got the little half walls, and they're still orange, right? They're not red, so I could technically go a little bit higher if I wanted to. So that's basic foundation tips. Now the next thing is that you can build on the surface of the pillars, and you don't need like the ground to be even. You don't need the ground to be like fully built out. And you can do little tricks. So, like, for instance, and yes, I am lagging because I have a lag machine on this plot. Here's a pillar, and on top of it is the big kiln. I can walk under this kiln. I can still operate and use it. I have a pillar that's propping up this this furnace because all of this stuff that you're seeing here is supposed to go underground. But if you build it on the flat surface, it will go underneath to this floor and mess everything up. But because you can prop it on a pillar, you can have it raised higher and still access it, allowing you more freedom and more space. And you can do this for every building. Every single building, you can slap, like here's a windmill. I have it slapped on a pillar. There is a pillar right under this bad boy. As you can see, it's right there. It's going right up the windmill's ass. And there you go. That is because normally I wouldn't be able to set the windmill down because I don't have enough wooden plank foundations. So that's another thing too. And what else do I have here? I have, let's see. Oh, yeah, the chests. I made a whole video about storage chests, and I keep seeing Redditors and Steam people post their builds. The most optimal way for storage is 2 chests, put a bar under the top chest, and then 2 more chests. You can access every chest from the ground by just looking up at it. There you go. That's top chest, that's top middle, that's bottom middle, and that's bottom chest. And this saves you even more room. Stop making 3 stacked high chests. Why are you not making 4-stack high chests? Are you that pissed off at my videos that you refuse to be optimal? Excuse me? It's your loss. Whatever. You know, if you don't want to watch the video because, Reddit, this guy hates the game, well, then that's your loss, not my problem. Also, because of the lag, it's not me. Here's 0 packet loss. It's the freaking game. Also, if you want to lag people out, just make a whole bunch of campfires, and if you have the Founders Edition, you can build the little wyvern torch thingies, but they don't lag nearly as much because they don't generate smoke, whereas these do. You don't have to have anything cooking on them, they're just always lit and smoking for some reason. And I built 2, and I have a beast of a PC, and this thing drops me down to 30-something frames, and I'm running the game as optimal as possible with custom settings so that my frame rate is literally maxed out as much as possible. So people that walk, it's funny watching, people that run by on the roads, like, and they walk by my house, they, like, start freezing up, and sometimes they get disconnected. I think I might have bricked a few characters whose computers just completely crashed when they looked at this monstrosity. And this is just 2 campfire trees. I have enough room to, like, make infinite of these things. And it's really simple. All you do is you build, like, 4 campfires, you build a pole going up, you know. I'm not going to give you the exact schematics, and then you build poles going out, putting campfires on each of the ends. And the only way to, like, patch this is optimize your damn game, devs. Chop, chop. You know, you got our money, so start working, Wagey. And the other thing is to just not allow people to build on pillars, which is essentially what this is. But that would, like, kill all the storage cheats and all of the kiln stuff, which looks goofy as hell, but... You know, in my world, building a roleplay house looks goofy as hell. These walls, these roofs don't do anything. You know why we have slanted roofs in the real world? My guess is because that way rainwater doesn't pool on the top and crash into your house or something. Whereas in the video game world, we don't abide by those rules, so there is no reason for you to build a roof with all the crap on it. Okay? It looks good. Like, these chairs don't do anything. These tables don't do nothing. Beds don't do anything. Hey, devs, if you want, like, a functional game, do what other games do. Make it where if you build walls in a ceiling, that it increases the refining rate of your buildings. Or do like Valheim, where these things have to be outdoors, otherwise you die of carbon poisoning, CO2, what, I don't freaking know, chemicals and stuff. Do you think I'm educated, like, in the school system? No, I figured it out pretty early on that school was a scam, and I figured out very, very early on that I'm not going to be indoctrinated to be someone's, you know, little wage slave working 9 to 5 forever, you know, only getting 10 years of retirement if I'm even lucky enough to live long enough into my old age, which no one ever in my family has done. So why bother? Just play video games. Just play Pax Dei, dude. Like, anyway, that's the video. Thank you so much. And let me know what you think. Please like the video because I got an army of Redditors and idiots and haters from Steam that are just mass downvoting my videos because either they don't want me to share these elite tips and tricks, these very awesome tips and tricks. Remember, I'm not contracted by Mainframe. I'm not contracted by the Pax Dei devs. You know, they're out there giving gift boxes to, like, streamers that stream to 7 people that have, like, 40 followers and, like, 10 views on their YouTube channel. They're giving them literal gift boxes of, like, memorabilia, but they won't give me any. They won't even let me have the game to play. You know, I had to have someone buy it for me. And because of that, I'm not under their thumb to say what they want me to say. I'm not forced to not reveal game-breaking bugs and exploits and secrets and, you know, optimal ways of playing that might change the meta, right? Speaking of, that's another video idea right there. The meta of Pax Dei. But with that said, click the video on the right side of your screen, and if you don't, you're going to have such bad heartburn, you're going to acid reflux that cheeseburger you had last night.